2, 3 for the hardest part of the ring. Hey, it's the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you get trapped in a headlock, and you're worried about smearing your lip gloss, and you shoot her off and take a shoulder block, do a leapfrog and give her a hip toss. It's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Now double claps. Here we go, Bob Squad. It's the first one of these for a Monday Night Raw Hulu edition. Hulu edition, not limited enough commercial interruption. New lyrics, a little bit. One for the ladies. It's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. Whoa. Yay. What is going on, Bob Squad? How's tricks? How's the kids? Some weather we're having. Airline food sucks. Where's the beef? Cold War Reaganomics. Hey-o. Waka waka. OJ stabbed people. Mistruths and exaggerations for satirical and comical purposes based on deductive reasoning and context clues. What is going on right now, Daddy? It is the hardest part of the ring, and we are talking about the Hulu edition. The Hulu edition, not limited enough commercial interruption, for January 3rd, 2022. The year of only promos. Good God. Yeah. Let's go right into Raw. I have no toy business. I thank you for watching the sampler of the Transformers thing I'm working on. It is a technical nightmare. New editing software I don't know how to use. New sound effects I have to download one by one from a totally different place. New music. And Transformers I've never filmed before, and it's a nightmare. But whatever. But thank you for watching that. That's the best I can get it to look. We'll do the very best we can. I actually have two other scenes that I'm going to redo the video for one and the audio for the other. So how about that? But it's a project for this weekend. Okay, Monday Night Raw, baby doll. What are we talking about? Hulk Hogan slams Andre the Giant to kick things off. And there's a package. There's a long, huge, sweaty, throbbing, veiny package about everything that happened last night. Well, what the fuck are my neighbors arguing about? God, that's why couples are the worst. Don't ever live with people. My God. I got a couple above me fighting. I got a couple next door to me fighting. Just a bunch of stupid couples. They can't stop yelling. They've been yelling for days. Because it's a new year and they're probably quarantined together with COVID. What a bunch of assholes. The ones above me are fat as fuck, too. You can tell just by the way the floor squeaks. And they have schedules where they wake up. But yeah, you hear that? Yeah, you hear me, Tiger? What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Because you got to come down and have a damn near heart attack. Excuse me, cardiac event. We're talking about WWE here. Coming down the steps to do something about me talking shit. But okay. Are you done, Bob? You okay? You alright? You having a good day? We have a long, sweaty, veining, throbbing, blue-veined package about the Fatal 5-Way, the pay-per-view over the weekend with Brock Lesnar won the yada. And finally, that is over. It feels like watching the pay-per-view again. We start the show and the lights go out, and then the lights come back on, and it's Paul Heyman. Now, yes, is it an overdone trope in wrestling? Yes, especially AEW is way worse. I think WWE, they hate easy effects. They'd rather have talking puppets and light you on fire or light dummies on fire, except the AEW lights themselves on fire. Yeah. For anyone complaining or thinking WWE stole an AEW idea, Paul Heyman's been using that trick and overusing that trick in my memory since '95, probably a year before that or so. It was a Sabu thing in ECW. Whenever he would return or come back, or whenever anyone would just make a surprise debut, they would just do that. And the flashes of the pictures would go off, and sometimes one of the flashes was extra bright, and you could kind of see who it is. You can hear them yell, but it would take a second. Sabu's return in '95 was like that. Brian Pillman was one when he showed up in early '96. So I don't know. There's a bunch of others. They did it a whole bunch of times. I mean, it got old quick, but be that as it may. Lights come on. Paul Heyman does the spiel. He brings out Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar talks, says a little bit. And this is wonderful. This is the best promo of the night and the second best promo of the night. Wasn't too far behind, but of course, anytime Heyman has a microphone, it's going to be the best promo of the night, guaranteed. And Heyman was great. He ran down the other four guys. Rollins, he said something about Rollins. His wife's going to leave him, who's Becky Lynch, who was the second best promo of the night. Side note, Becky and Seth's segments are always one after the other on this show. Always. At least on the Hulu edition, they always are. It's been like 5 weeks in a row. It's always one then the other. He said Kevin Owens he wasn't worried about. I forgot why. He says no one ever talks about MVP. We were worried about Lashley and we respect Big E was the gist of it. But Heyman did have one line. He says, Roman fires me as special counsel and it's no coincidence he fires me and a week later he gets COVID. And it was refreshing to hear not more COVID talk, but somebody on a microphone on one of those programs actually acknowledge reality and make it not feel like a weird bubble in Fantasyland. To make it just to make it part of the world. It was nice. It was nice. And they said Lesnar's going to fight the winner of this four-way thing they're going to eventually have, that they were supposed to have 2 nights ago. Lesnar will fight the winner of that at the Royal Rumble. Okay, very good. It was long, but it was good. And if you were there live or watching it live, I'm sure it was a way more fun. When you're watching it filmed, the urge to fast forward is always there. And I did that a lot on this show, with just a lot of packages and entrances. I just couldn't. A blonde lady talks to MVP and Lashley. MVP says something and walks away real fast, and Lashley says Brock Lesnar fears me. And then there's a long video of Omos's long package. And it's about him and AJ Styles, and when AJ and him broke up after AJ lost to the Mysterios. This is where Omos had he wouldn't help his partner, and that makes him the good guy for no reason, because Vince McMahon hates everything. And in this package, they show him putting his entire hand over the Irish guy's face. And again, that makes him a good guy to put his germy hand on a guy's face in a pandemic. So we're supposed to cheer Omos, and later on, no one did, by the way, but we'll get to that later. Becky Lynch is now cutting a long promo. There's no matches on this show yet. Becky Lynch cut a great heel promo, and hey, she acknowledged... See, they won't acknowledge the city. I don't know what city in South Carolina they were in, because they never said. They just said South Carolina a few times. And Becky told them how their resolutions about losing weight and getting promotions won't happen, because she's the best every year, so she doesn't have to worry about it, and she's the greatest, and she took her time, and it was wonderful. And the Liv Morgan has not gone away. Liv Morgan interrupts Becky Lynch for the 18th week in a row. And Liv, again, had to sound robotic, and like her shit was written for her where Becky's was not, so it wasn't as bad as it's been, but it didn't sound good. Bianca Belair comes out to a wonderful reaction. And Bianca comes out looking like a star, like she could whoop any one of them. And eventually Bianca and Liv, they get tired of Becky, and they kick her in the gut and they throw her out of the ring or something like that. This would never happen to Charlotte. Charlotte would wave off the entire promo and then beat someone up. Which reminds me, Alexa's coming back in like a mini doc on how she's coming back next week. So, what happened there? I forgot. I watched this today. That's how uninteresting it was. Oh, somehow Liv and Bianca go at it, and Bianca lifts up Liv for her finish like there's no tomorrow. Like she weighs nothing. I'm sorry, I just have trouble when I saw Liv and Bianca tussling that I have trouble believing Liv Morgan can move Bianca Belair at all. Becky sneaks in, does her rock bottom whatever finish to Bianca, and Bianca got 88. No, she got like 6 feet in the air. Took an amazing bump for Becky and made that finish look like $1 million. And Becky just had to lift her arm. It actually is, it's almost too good of a bump, because you see one person lift her arm a little bit and the other person flies 6 feet, 7 feet in the air. So it was a little nutty, but it was such a beautiful big old up and down wrestling bump. So I like that. So this sets up something with Liv and Bianca, and one of them has to fight Becky at the Rumble. The same concept with the men. A multi-person thing. Winner fights the champion at the big event. And, what did I write down? I don't know what I wrote down. I wrote down 2 versus 1. Now, why did I do that? I don't know. Then I wrote down Big Show. I don't know why I wrote that either. Big Show has nothing to do with this. It doesn't even work there anymore. Yeah, maybe I'll think of it later. Maybe I won't. Maybe I was born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. We're backstage. Seth Rollins. My neck hurts. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens are coming up with a scheme and are talking about Paul Heyman, and Seth is very angry about the wife comment. And again, Seth following Becky. You know, their segments are always back to back. And they agree they're going to team up again tonight, just like they did 2 nights prior. Very good. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championship is on the line. Zelina and Carmella defend against the people they beat for it, Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH. I don't think... I mean, Hulu cut into this without the entrances, and also thanks. But I think Carmella didn't even get in a ring. I think Carmella stood outside with the weird S&M mask, and Corey Graves had an erection. And then they insist every time, and I used to find it silly, but now it's growing on me. The stare down between Rhea Ripley and Zelina Vega is hilarious. I just absolutely love it. Every time. I love watching it. It's just so comical, and it just sets the mood. And Rhea wrestles and does well, and, you know, bumps Zelina around, tags in Nikki. Nikki does the same, and Nikki just gets rolled up. She just goes for a move. Zelina wiggles out of it, like a crucifix or a roller-up, some kind of roll-up, I forget. Not even hook at the tights, just beats her cold as a wet noodle. Like, yeah, it was, but the story of the match was this had to happen, and Rhea finally looked annoyed with Nikki, and they did this well, because Rhea didn't just fly off the handle, but now it's been a couple of these screw-ups, and you can see she's visibly annoyed. Like, she's not yelling at Nikki, she's not berating her, because I don't think they're trying to turn Rhea heel. I don't think you couldn't turn her heel on Nikki, because the people already lost their interest and their affection for her, I think. So Rhea beating up Nikki isn't going to turn her heel. But Rhea just getting pissed off and going her own way and winning a big match, maybe with 29 other women in it, that might work. Because they've done Becky, Bianca, they've done Becky, Liv. Later on, I think, is the Doudrop thing coming up? Because Doudrop gets added to this. I'll spoil myself here. Yeah, Carmella was not... Oh, Nikki, at one point she went for the pin on Zelina, and she did the NXT 2016-17 Scooby-Doo pin that all the women did for a couple of years. The Iconics do it too, like crazy. They did anyway. I don't know if they still do on Impact. No one watches that. That's where you pin the person, you kick your feet out like Scooby-Doo right before he starts running. Johnny Knoxville is going to be in a Royal Rumble because fuck credibility, and who cares about Johnny Knoxville? What movie does he have that they have a deal with to have a comedy spot in a Rumble where he's not going to take it seriously, and anyone who beats his ass is going to get in trouble? So they didn't learn when that Steve-O asshole no-sold Umaga back when. Didn't Umaga shove him around? Oh, we got this Damien... Byron Saxton literally said the Damien side of Damien Priest. So they're telling us because he has this fury, this temper, this no reason Jekyll and Hyde, Banner and Hulk fucking gimmick going on. There's a Damien side, like a dark side, and a Priest side, like a good guy side. So there's a dark evil side, and then the other side molest kids. Oh, nice. Bob, was that necessary? No, it wasn't. But you did. You did it anyway. You did it anyway, Bob. Damien's talking to a blonde lady, and again, he says the word rage 15 times. He says furious a couple of times. So this is classic Vince, just hammering this one word, rage, rage, rage. He says sudden rage. But why is he talking to blonde lady about his rage? Shouldn't he be talking about defending the U.S. Championship and the special stipulation that if he gets counted out or DQ'd, that he also loses the championship against Dolph Ziggler coming up shortly? Doesn't talk about that. Shouldn't he deny it or brush it off at least and go, yeah, I think that's a little overblown, blah, 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 blah. And the announcers should be the ones putting this over so that when he does snap, the announcers, see, no. Why would he just start talking about my rage out of nowhere to the blonde lady? And what's she supposed to do about it? Anyway, Adam, Pierce, and Sonya Deville are talking, and the camera's on them, and they don't see the camera person. They have no idea they're being filmed. And Dewdrop walks in and says, "I'm British, and you should put me in. I should also have a title shot because they've had their chances." But why wouldn't Pierce or Sonya say, "Yeah, but you've just lost your big match with Bianca, so you're not a top contender right now"? Instead, they go, "Duh, I guess that's a good point because you don't need to win anything to be a number one contender." They also got rid of the phrase number one contender. You're just next in line for a title opportunity. So anyway, they make it a three-way next week. Dewdrop, Bianca, Liv Morgan. And then at the end, oh yeah, because again, everyone's a brainwashed idiot. At the end, Dewdrop has to do her finger spirit thing because she can't stop doing it. In every scenario in life, it makes no sense. The show is bad. Dolph Ziggler and Damien Priest, both the Damien and Priest sides wrestle. And now they tease the DQ. Big Bob, Robert Roode, runs out and he cheats, and Dolph still can't get the pin. And they tease Damien. Damien brings a chair in the ring and he's about to hit Ziggler with it, and he doesn't. Ziggler wants to get hit with it, so he wins the championship. But Damien Priest takes the chair and he launches it at Robert Roode instead. Ziggler hits his finish, 1-2 kick out. Damien hits his finish, 1-2-3. Could this be over? It's not working. It's not working, and I'm not saying it's not working because I don't like it. I'm saying it's not working because watch the show and listen to the audience. They don't care. They cared less about Omos, and that's coming up later. Vince McMahon and Austin Theory have a really long roundabout way of Vince saying he's putting Austin Theory in the Royal Rumble. Vince is there's I counted 3 different camera shots for this 2-minute backstage nonsense. They needed 3 cameras. There was a wide, a close on Vince, and a close-up on Austin Theory. And neither of these two men notices a camera in a room. Hey. So they're just doing skits. Vince suddenly channeled his inner Seinfeld and is like, "Well, what do you mean you didn't mean to interrupt? Everyone who interrupts means to interrupt. Why would you interrupt and not mean it?" Like, okay. What's the deal? What's the deal with eggs? What's the deal with firing people? Who are these people, pal? Okay. So, they did that. The Miz and Maurice and Edge and Beth Phoenix had a really, really long talking segment. The 2 women were better here. Beth and Maurice were better. I think Edge is he's hamming it up to a point where I can't quite believe him like I used to. And Miz always does that. Maurice is very funny. She's out with Miz first. She corrects Miz's French. And she has the right subtle looks of annoyed, where I believe her. Maybe it's just because she's married to the Miz and she's used to being mildly annoyed, but all the time. Or it's a French thing. I don't know. But Maurice was good, and Beth was good here too. Beth looked. They gave her the Road Warrior hairdo again. So Road Warrior Beth comes out, and that must drive makeup and hair people crazy, because they have to do makeup and hair for like all of the women and most of the dudes, and they don't do like normal TV Good Morning America makeup. They do crazy people makeup and hair for all these crazy people. So when they only have a few hours to do all of them, including now Beth shows up and they're like, oh, you know, make her look like she's fighting alongside Mel Gibson in an apocalyptic future, and do it in like 20 minutes. That probably drives them fucking bonkers. But anyway, this was a really, really, really long setup to say we're gonna have a mixed tag at the Royal Rumble. There we go. Shit, we already know. They could have just tweeted the graphic, and we all would have gone, yeah, no shit. But 3 hours to fill. No Randy Orton, Riddle, RK Bro on this show, which was disappointing, believe it or not, because I heard they did something fun backstage before going out at Gorilla, and I didn't get to see it. Maybe I'll look it up. Maybe I'll forget. Omos wrestles AJ Styles. Obviously, he's gonna bump him around in 2-3 minutes and pin him. I wrote LOL. Omos does look like shit, even with the tight shirt. The belly's hanging. AJ did everything he could, took some big bumps. Omos's finish is he gorilla presses you from his shoulders and you take a big old face bump. So cool. But if someone's a shitty bumper, it's not going to look good, because you're not really bumping a guy. You're just getting him up there. It was what it was. But people didn't care. Now again, it's late in the show. Okay. But there was never a reason to like Omos. Because even if AJ was being a dick this whole time, Omos never had a real reason for breaking up with him. Omos is the one who was stupid and got them countered out and lost the match. Omos is the one who was lazy and wouldn't help AJ Styles. AJ is the one who taught him everything and brought him into the picture and got him tag team gold. So Omos turns on and we're just supposed to cheer him? No. And people don't really hate AJ. They like to boo him sometimes. They probably love him in South Carolina too. Main event is a 4-way. Bobby Lashley wins. I'm spending too much time. I'm sorry, guys. I'm tired. They did what they could to make this a different match than the 5-way on Saturday. Instead, this was the 4-way, and they basically were able to play it even. Big E pairs off with Owens right away, and Lashley pairs off with Seth right away. And they quickly... I don't usually like fighting to the back because the live crowd can't see it, but we needed something different. And they did. So the four of them, the two heels, because Lashley is... He's teetering on that needle of face and heel. They end up fighting backstage, not backstage. This is better than... I prefer this than backstage, in the corridor area of the arena. Because that's like a real place where fans go, and it was clearly blocked off because no fans followed them into the whole place, which is funny. And Owens took a big spine buster through a table. I forget if it was E or Lashley who did it to him. I don't remember, but Owens went to the merch table and he's all sweaty and he went on all the t-shirts, and I'm like, oh, that's gross. I don't know if people are still going to buy them or if they have to get rid of them now or give them away for free. And did he just cost them a couple of $100 worth of shirts? But would they care for the... I don't know. But somehow the three guys who aren't Owens end up in the aisleway near in the seats there, and Owens does a freaking flip off the gimmick there, off the entranceway, and knocks out E and Lashley. And wisely, they didn't even bother having him aim for Seth. Why would you aim for Seth if Lashley and E are there? And it keeps going with the theme that Seth and Owens are working together. My gripe with it is Owens gets up and walks to the ring right after. And so does everybody else. So, it took no seconds to do that. But they did it. And it's nice to see some physicality and just instead of the same Raw main events of, okay, main event style. It's going to be, basic moves, bumps in the middle of the ring, which is good. Trading finishes, wiggling out of a finish, going for your finish, hitting your finish, yada, yada, Just don't do it every week, and it was nice to see something else. Lashley spears Owens and pins him. He pins Kevin Owens. Lashley celebrates. Lashley is going to the Royal Rumble to wrestle Brock Lesnar. And then they end the show. They cut to the Irish guy, and he's with Brock Lesnar. No Paul Heyman. And he asks Lesnar what he thinks about Bobby Lashley, or do you have any messages? And Lesnar says, here's a message, tell Roman Reigns I'll see him Friday. So they want us to watch SmackDown. And he doesn't acknowledge Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar will be interesting because they both have the same initials. And I'm assuming there will be a lot of suplexes and spine busters and spears and F5s, and all of it takes place in the middle because these guys are too smart to bump on the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da.